After a 5-year hiatus back when COVID was around, we have brought back the podcast, this time with a co-host, Pasquale Maggiore. Pasquale, thanks for joining me, and I'm excited to have you on the show.
Connor, thank you for having me. We are both Buffalo Bills fans, and that's exactly what we're here to talk about here this evening on a Tuesday in Western New York and beyond.
And there is some exciting stuff we're going to talk about on this episode. We're going to get into a little bit of alternate uniforms that was just unveiled today on the Buffalo Bills Twitter account. We're going to talk about when is it the end of summer and when can you start looking forward to football season. We're going to touch on Hard Knocks, the Bills being featured in the upcoming training camp documentary, as well as talk about the final year in Highmark Stadium, the expectations, and where do you want to see this Bills team finish at the end when it's all said and done.
I couldn't have said that better myself. I thought I said the same thing before we started recording here tonight, but that's good. We're on the same page, and we're ready to rock and roll with this thing.
Yeah, so we'll get right into it. There was a lot of rumor mills that we weren't going to be bringing back the red helmets this year. There was a report on Instagram from a source that we were not doing that. They were going to be a silver alternate, and we were holding off on those. But then there was a tweet that came out today, and it's been confirmed that the Bills will use the red alternates that were famous in the Jim Kelly era, repped by Doug Flutie, some of the Bills in the early 2000s. We're going to rep those for one home game this year. So I want to pitch it to you. Tell me your thoughts. I know uniforms in the NFL can be hit or miss nowadays. What do you think about these helmets, and are you excited to see them?
I am looking forward to it. I am totally fine with it. I believe they said the last game of the season at the Mark is going to be where they're unveiling them. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, they said the last home game. I wish it was for a primetime game myself, but at least we're going to get them. So that's something to look forward to.
Yeah, I'm good with it. Take my money. I will buy something that has the red helmets on. I'm not sure if you can tell what I'm wearing, but I'm wearing a beautiful homage t-shirt, which has Jim Kelly and Andre Reed dummy on it. I would go down a little bit further, but I'm feeling kind of fat after the events of the last few weeks. So you're just going to have to take my word for it. I did get this from the Bills store, so I am looking forward to going back old school with the red helmets. Here's the problem that I have, though, Connor. I can wait until that last week to see those. I don't need to see horrible Photoshops or whatever else kind of program you're using, AI, to generate these red helmets. I know what they look like. I'm 46 years old. I've lived through that era, and I can totally wait till the last game of the season to see the unveiling of these beautiful helmets.
And my one thing I would talk to my friend about that I'm potentially worried about is Josh Allen, obviously our best player. You want to see him rock those. Is this going to be a game where the Bills have everything wrapped up and it's a one snap, he checks out of the game? So hopefully there's going to be something to play for. We can get into the one seed in the competition in the AFC this year, but definitely it'll be a nice fitting end to the regular season in Highmark Stadium.
Well, at that point, the Bills are going to be 16-0. So if Josh comes out, takes one snap wearing that helmet, I'm fine with it.
Yeah. Now, training camp's coming up soon. Roster's pretty much set from the draft that we added, as well as free agency. However, there's a couple unhappy NFL superstars that are out there, and I've seen some potential ways to cut and trade and make room for people. The two people I'm talking about that bring up with the Bills would be Trey Hendrickson with the Bengals and then Terry McLaurin with the Commanders. The Bills already have filled those roles on their team with DN, with Joey Bosa, and on wide receiver, we've got our guys. Do you think there's any maneuvering that the Bills could try to put themselves in position to get one of these guys?
Absolutely not. So let's end that discussion as it began.
All right. Well, one can dream. Okay? For my fantasy team, Terry McLaurin to Josh Allen, that probably is a better connection than Diggs to Allen.
Correct. Let me just tell, I know, Connor, you and I have known each other casually for the last year and a half, 2 years. Let me tell you something about me. I am a very realistic Bills fan. I don't play fantasy football when it comes to my football team. So I understand, you have these blog sites and these other Bills fan sites. They like to think of these like fantasy scenarios like they're George Costanza for the Bills to get every possible player out there. I am not that guy. If that is not okay with you, I will hit end right now and we can not continue this podcast.
Okay, you know what? After talking to you about that, we're going to move on from it. I know my limits where I can stretch the imagination. We're just going to cut it off at mega superstars that we cannot afford with the salary cap.
I got you. When the trade deadline rolls around, let's readdress this, but let's be a little more realistic.
That's fair. That's fair. Um, Former Bill Von Miller signing with the Commanders. People talked about him maybe coming back on a team-friendly deal, even though that whole contract kind of blew up once he got hurt. Do you think he'll be effective in Washington? And how do you feel about his replacements with Joey Bosa, AJ Epineza coming back for another year, and the rest of the guys we have?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to make that big of a difference in Washington. Unfortunately, I think his best days are behind him. Not saying that I can play football any better than he can, which I totally cannot. I am comfortable. I'm not going to say happy, but I'm comfortable with what we have to fill his role that he's leaving behind, if it even was that big of a void that they're going to be filling. And I'm confident in being that he made the right decisions. Once again, we have some wiggle room during the season. We can make a trade, a realistic trade for somebody that can come in and make a difference. I'm here for that as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. We switched it up a little bit personnel-wise with the defense. McDermott knows how to coach a defense in the regular season. What we come into troubles are against elite quarterbacks in the playoffs and it's getting stops against the Mahomes, the Lamar Jacksons, the Joe Burrows. So that's where I want to see the defense step up this year and give Josh and the offense more help if we're going to make that run to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, for sure. That is the thing that has really held us back. I'm very excited about the offense, the new additions that we made, the players that are coming back. Josh, one more year as a veteran starting quarterback. I think it's going to be a great year for the offense. I know, once again, when we talk about these other websites and blog sites that want to go with the small stories and blow them up, I see that James Cook reported to training camp, so there's that. I'm not really worried about the offense, not really worried about the defense. We'll see where these special teams ends up being this year. I saw Nyheim Hines got signed by the San Diego Chargers. Am I correct?
Yeah, I saw that. Former Colt and Bills player that gave us that great memory of the kick return after the DeMar Hamlin incident against the Patriots, which was just surreal to be there if you were at the game. So he's back on his feet. X factor kind of a running back that can catch the ball to the backfield and be a slasher for you.
Yeah, I was hoping to see him get another shot, here in Buffalo. But then again, if an individual is going to be that not smart to go out and jet ski and risk your career playing football just to have a little bit of fun, maybe I don't want that player in my locker room. I know McDermott and Bean know what type of player they want here. They've built a culture here. And it's actually kind of funny. I will wait to talk about this when we talk about the next thing we're going to talk about, but I'll go back to that culture thing. I may have jumped the gun a little bit. It's a training camp for us.
You're excited.
So
You're excited. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. You're excited. I'm excited. The NFL's excited about the Bills training camp. We're going to be on Hard Knocks. I want to get your take on what you think when the Bills get featured on those NFL Films type of shows. They have the whole Hallmark Christmas Story that's coming out, and this year with the Buffalo Bills being featured. Me personally, I kind of like us being out of the spotlight. I already know what these players are like in person. We see candid interviews and different things like that. But what's your take on Hard Knocks? How do you think it's going to be like that at Bills training camp?
Have you been a Hard Knocks watcher from the very beginning?
Not religiously. I've seen clips with different franchises that they've had the show. I just don't know how that's going to be with our culture here with the Bills.
Yeah, I've never watched Hard Knocks all the way through. I might have seen clips here and there. I was a big fan of the All or Nothing show on Amazon Prime Video. I love the quarterback series on Netflix. But I am looking forward to seeing this, having the Bills be, especially because it's preseason Hard Knocks. But I saw something on X or Facebook or Instagram today about, the Bills are such a buttoned up team that they might not give the cameras that are filming Hard Knocks enough content to get through the preseason. So, McDermott runs a tight ship. I had the opportunity to take a behind-the-scenes tour of the facility and saw the, not OTAs, what's the practice that goes on in June?
Like an inter-squad scrimmage or sort of, where they just kind of get together?
Yeah, and I met McDermott, real nice guy, great guy. And I am very confident looking behind the scenes and seeing how they have everything established that there's not going to be any nonsense out there. We're going to look pretty good on those HBO cameras, and let's just get through the preseason. But I definitely will tune in and check these out. It's going to lead to another problem for me, though, because I'm going to have to resubscribe to HBO Max, and I'm probably going to waste time watching Entourage, maybe some Curb Your Enthusiasm. So my fat ass is about to get fatter.
But never a bad thing to hit some of those classic shows. Can I be right?
No, but the problem is, like, you got things to do outside, you got things to do in your basement, you got things to do in the attic, and you're sitting in front of the TV watching Entourage or watching Sopranos or watching Curb Your Enthusiasm. I might have to go back and watch Ballers for the third time.
Great intro to that show, by the way. I was actually fighting with this morning about streaming services, and it's like, do I cancel my Netflix? It's $20 a month. Money's a little tight right now, but I just know football's around the corner. There's going to be games on there, and it's like you stay with it because you don't want to miss out on any of the action.
Yeah, I got the email today or yesterday, one of the two, about $50 off of the NFL Sunday ticket for being a Bills season ticket holder. I'm kind of mulling that over, but it's like, when am I going to have time to really sit down and watch all of these games? Like, is it worth spending that extra couple $100 so I can watch an extra Steelers game or watch like an extra Green Bay game or whatever game that I might be missing? It really does add up. And thankfully, our Netflix plan comes through our cell phone. So we pay for Amazon Prime. I just re-upped Paramount Plus because of Dexter. Peacock, I am waiting to see what the status is with the WWE before I go ahead and purchase another year of that. I've heard some rumblings that they may be switching over. There's moving so much content over to YouTube. So I'm not sure if I'm going to re-up Peacock. I haven't rewatched The Office in a while, but that's another reason why I have Peacock. So yeah, those subscription services add up so quickly. And if you're not a smart person, you can actually pay somebody to find out what you're subscribed to and how you can cancel those subscriptions. But if you're a smart person, I don't recommend you pay somebody to do that. I recommend you go through, maybe filter through your emails, see what you subscribe to, and then cancel those services. You don't have to pay somebody an extra $9.99 a month or whatever these charlatans, these carnies, these grifters are charging people to go through and cancel their services. Do it yourself, save a couple bucks, and be smart. Was that a soapbox?
A little bit. You're good, though.
Okay.
We're back on the train. We know where we're going.
Yeah,
back to Hard Knocks. I mean, there's some usual suspects of great personalities on this Bills roster that'll be fun to see in Hard Knocks. Obviously, Josh is a character. We've seen him in commercials and what he does when the camera's around. Deion Dawkins is great. I'm excited to see Trey White back in the mix and what he's going to do in practice. But one guy I want to keep my eye on, who I think is a gem when it comes to personality and how he is with the team, is Keon Coleman. I saw a little bit of his draft interviews with the Buffalo Bills coaching staff. He was talking about golf. Someone said, "Are you Tiger Woods?" And he's like, "I'm Tiger, wish I could." And he was joking around about that. He just has a really fun personality to him. He put on some weight in the offseason. There's big expectations. So I really want to see the intricacies of the wide receivers in camp this year.
Yeah, and he and Dalton Kincaid are definitely going to have the microscope on them, which they deserve to have because, last year Coleman, couple injury problems, Dalton Kincaid, couple injury problems as well. Didn't make that catch he probably should have made in the championship game. Could have really changed things there. So those are two players I will definitely be keeping my eye on. I'm a big fan of the tight end position, so Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox are always on my radar, not to mention any third or fourth stringer who we throw in the game that catches big passes.
Yeah, and we talked about training camp being around the corner. First preseason games, August 9th. Home opener is going to be the first week of September. How difficult of a challenge is it, do you think, to open up Sunday night with Baltimore after we beat them in the playoffs last year?
It's
like they seem talk about bulletin board material. They're promoting it like they're Super Bowl in week one. I'm glad that we have the game at home, but with what they've done to the defense, that couldn't be a tougher test week one for the Bills.
Yeah, and they're a team that likes to talk a lot. They talk and they talk and they talk and they talk and they wear purple. And their coach is very unlikable. Their quarterback is very unlikable. The team in general is very unlikable. They're legends. are very unlikable. I'm not talking about Saragusa. Love that man to death. Ray Lewis, unlikable. Terrell Suggs,
Very
unlikable.
unlikable.
Justin Tucker, let's not talk about what happened in the offseason. Very unlikable. They're a very unlike Joe Flacco at that point in time. Very unlikable. They're a very unlikable franchise, and it's going to be a tough game, but I think the Bills are going to be hyped up. I don't want to talk about the whole, crowd thing. It's way too early for that, but, I'm going to be optimistic. I'm confident going into that first game that we're going to leave with a victory and get started off on the right foot.
Definitely. I know they have the game circled. The Bills in a couple primetime games this year, hosting Kansas City again for the usual trip that they make here up to Buffalo. How important is it, do you think, as we look forward to this season, getting home field advantage in the playoffs? It's something that's eluded the Bills ever since they switched from a two-bye format to a single-bye. We've only been the two-seed or worse. And with the way the schedule is breaking out, if we can get that Baltimore game, we might be able to stack some wins early on in the year.
Yeah, obviously home field advantage, very important. We had KC right where we needed them, though 2 years ago didn't work out in our favor. So, as important as it is, too, does the team get a little too uptight, maybe a little too laid back that they're at home? So, I mean, time will tell. We'll see, how the season plays out. I don't think we need to go that far into the season just
Yeah,
yet.
I'm getting ahead
You
of
get way too
myself.
ahead of yourself, but it's
I
okay.
was on social media and people were playing the AFC Championship game from last year and all that stuff. And I just think of the end game because that's where we want to be at. But it's about the journey. We got to take it one step at a time. So, as a part of this journey, talk to me about what training camp position battles you're looking forward to seeing. There's a couple notable guys that we've brought on, like Hairston at cornerback, Trey White's back. What do you want to see in training camp, and who are you looking to keep your eye on?
I am not a quote unquote, once again, I don't want to let you down, but I'm not a quote unquote football guy. I don't really view the sport that way. I kind of sit back and view it more as a fan. I'm obviously going to keep my eye on Josh, see how he's looking. I'm going to take a look at the running backs. I'm a big offensive lineman fan. So I'll definitely watch the offensive lineman. I am going to camp tomorrow. Looking forward to just getting out of the office for the day and really getting back and mentally getting prepared for NFL football. I can't believe how, we February Super Bowl goes through and you're like, oh, football's not here for another 6 months. Football, the regular season's not here for another 7.5 months. But we're back into it. Like I said, training camp starts tomorrow. When's the Hall of Fame game? At the end of this week or next week?
July 31st.
July 31st. So that's coming right up. You mentioned the Bills preseason game, which I can't go to. So I'm going to go to the return of the blue and red, or the red and blue, whatever they call it. And then we're really into it. Got a couple more preseason games. Are you a college football fan?
I am, yeah. I'm a Notre Dame fan. We had a great year last year, ultimately losing Ohio State in the championship. I just like the pregame shows for college football, college game day. You can wake up, go to the gym, come back, get ready to watch a couple hours of college football. They do a great show with Pat McAfee. And it's the same thing with Sundays in the NFL, whether you watch Fox, CBS, NFL Network. We got Red Zone that's going to be coming back on with Scott Hansen, who's signed up back for a new deal. So it's just like, you don't have to worry about weekend plans in the fall. Summer, it's always like, what am I going to do this weekend? And it's could be golf if you're into. I'm going to go to the beach. We're going on vacation. But everyone knows in Buffalo when it's the weekend in the fall what to be doing.
So this time of the year has to be very exciting for you. Obviously, we've talked about this. You and I are both New York Mets fans. The Mets in a position to make a run at another playoff spot. I am optimistic they will do so. I do feel that we are in a good position. I think that a couple moves need to be made at the trade deadline, but we're going to be over the hump there. So imagine we're looking at the Mets on another playoff run. We're looking at the Bills starting off strong. You mentioned you're a Notre Dame college football fan. You have a lot going on. The Buffalo Sabres are on my pay no mind list, so I don't let that stuff, get into my mindset, get into my brain. I think I'm going to the home opener, but that's only.
It's tough for me to keep the Sabres out of mine. My job deals with taking clients to our Sabres suite. So I have a client that already picked out his 5 regular season home games for the Sabres. I do not want to think about hockey in October and that whole range of emotions with the hockey team and what we're not adding and not spending money on. So I like to focus on the teams that still make me happy, which are the Mets, Notre Dame, and the Bills.
It's crazy because the Mets never really make anybody happy. They're like the Bills. They like to disappoint people. They like to let people down. They like to play with your emotions and make you reconsider even being a sports fan.
Except last year was a different kind of year. Sneaking into the playoffs and going on that run, there was nothing bad about how that season ended. Now with Soto on the team, there's bigger expectations, so we could be in for some Mets heartbreak.
So, Connor, as I look at my phone, I see that it is July 22nd. I mentioned earlier that I made a joke with one of my associates about that summer's over. Training camp starts tomorrow. Erie County Fair is about 2 weeks away. Summer is over. We're done with summer, even though it's supposed to be 90 degrees on Thursday. That doesn't mean that summer is still here. We are moving towards fall. So for you, a man of the people, you're a professional. At what point in time are you fully focused and do you really snap into football mode? Is it the first preseason game? Is it training camp? Do you go to Dick's Sporting Goods or the Bills store and buy that brand new Bills shirt and say, hey, I'm ready to be a fan? Where do you really transition full, all gas, no break, if you want to use an overused, overused quote?
Well, I think so. Let's talk about it straight up. You seem like your football season right now. You're going to training camp. You're jacked up. You're ready to go. Am I right?
I really am not.
You're not. Okay.
I am going to training camp tomorrow to help a friend out because they got 3 tickets and they needed 2 people to go with. So that's why I'm going to training camp. I honestly, full disclosure, am not a fan of going to training camp. I think it's very tedious, kind of boring. Tomorrow it's going to be like 86 degrees. I am an overweight, fat white man. So, sitting in those conditions for a long period of time is not the most comfortable. But I'm going to make the best of it. Maybe stop by the Pittsford Dairy on the way back in. If you've never been, I highly recommend you get out there. Coach McDermott gave them a shout out during one of his post-game conferences or pre-game whatevers, talked about their milkshakes. Delicious place. But yeah, I am getting there. Once we get to the first preseason game, I'll be there. And I know this is controversial amongst the gamers, but I will buy the new Madden game on August 14th, and that'll get me even higher up when it comes to getting ready for football. Are you a gamer, Connor?
Not anymore. I used to be. We get the Madden every year it came out. Dynasty mode with the Bills, play online against my friends, all that good stuff. Just not anymore, but open to whooping your ass in a game of Madden whenever you're up for the challenge.
All right, well, I guess I got to go out and buy that second controller then.
I get the Bills.
You get the Bills, okay. I get the Bills number 2.
We're going to play Bills versus Bills in Madden?
Yes.
I don't know how I feel about that.
All right, so...
Well, anyway, you said we're just talking about ready for football. To me, Labor Day weekend is when I focus on football and get full all gas, no breaks. Labor Day weekend, August preseason it's cool to see the guys out there. If you really are into football, you're going to see some battles for positions, but it's not serious. Training camp, not these guys are just trying not to get hurt, go over plays. So Labor Day weekend rolls around, that NFL kickoff Thursday game, Eagles and Cowboys. I will get my popcorn ready and it's season's underway.
So I'm not sure if we talked about this or not. Are you signed up to get tickets at the new original Pizza Logs field?
Wait, we're going to have to back it up right there.
What?
Signed up to get tickets what are we talking about?
We're talking about the new stadium, the original Pizza Logs Stadium in Orchard Park.
That went over my head.
Highmark Stadium.
Okay. So I'm waiting on a phone call, and then my dad and I are looking to get PSLs in the upper deck and get seasons. So yes.
Perfect. When do you think? Have you gotten like a timeline? How are we looking at this?
We're connecting with my cousins who have had seasons for the last 10, 15 years. And when they have like a referral for us to get in with the ticket person. So once that happens, we're going to make a move on it. And I'm excited about it. I haven't had season tickets since I was a senior in high school, and they were $400 for the year in the rock pile. So it's been a minute, and I'm looking forward to the new stadium.
But you're one of those people that don't have season tickets, but yet you can manage to go to every game, correct?
Not every game, most
Most
games.
do.
I get a good deal on the tickets. I'm not living with dispensable income where I can get suites or really nice Bills tickets. It's someone has a ticket here, I'll sell it to you for $100, and it's usually one of the better games I like to go to. I don't get like just with the Bills and what we've done since 2020. It's tough to get up for a game against New Orleans that we're expected to win this year, or Tampa Bay. Okay, it's decent, but I like the Eagles. I like the Bengals. I like the Chiefs. I want the best games that are going to be in prime time.
So what you're saying is that you're not living La Vida Loca?
I am not living La Vida Loca, not at all.
All right. So in my mind, I envision this podcast being a half hour long. That gives us approximately 8 minutes to play with. What else do you want to squeeze in this supersized episode, this pilot episode that we're rolling out here for the fans?
Well, first off, I want to give a shout out to the fans that are going to be listening for the first time in over 5 years that stuck around when More Than Breaking Tables made its debut in January of 2020. I was kind of doing that all by myself, had a love for the Bills and a passion for Bills sports fans, and ultimately had to put a plug on the show because of personal reasons and wasn't able to keep it going. But got connected with you 2 years ago playing some softball. We've talked on the radio before, and now we're bringing it back, I think, bigger and better than ever.
Yeah, and for those people that are checking this out for the very first time, Connor and I are both radio losers. Connor, you want to kind of talk to the fans that are listening or watching this program, a little bit of background about your radio career and why you transitioned to podcasting? Because we all know those that can't do radio or those that don't do radio do podcasts.
Yeah, so I mean, I went to school for broadcasting, took a public speaking class, gave a speech about the Houston Oilers comeback game with the Bills in the playoffs that my parents attended, and the situation where they left at halftime and then had a superstition where when they would go to a traffic light, if it was red, they'd turn off the radio, and if it was green, they'd turn it back on, and they did this all the way out to Niagara Falls when we had the game winning kick. So I gave that speech, and the professor of the class was the head of the broadcasting department, said I should go for broadcasting. I felt wanted and recruited, so I did it. Was a host on the football and basketball shows, hosted a radio DJ shift, broadcast sports games for Fox Sports, and just loved talking and connecting with people in group settings around sports. So when I got into my career, I wanted to kind of utilize my degree now that I went back into sales. Came up with the podcast 5 years ago, had a good foundation for it, and now I just like connecting with Bills fans, talking about similar things with the team and how we can better ourselves.
Yeah, and as for me, I went to ECC, got my 2-year degree there, transitioned on to Buff State, did an internship at WECK, did an internship at WGR. I've been employed by Odyssey, Entercom at the time since 2013, worked on ESPN 1520, WBEN, did some behind the scenes stuff, some new stuff, some on the air stuff. I'm a professional wrestler since 1999, so I like to make a fool of myself and I like to talk to and at people. That's why I like to do this, and I have a passion for radio and a passion for broadcasting, and I just kind of lost patience with radio management, and that's why I want to do this. And once again, like Connor says, connect with you Bills fans out there. So, we love to hear your feedback. If you think we suck, tell us we suck. If you think we're okay, tell us we're okay. If you think we're great, we're not great yet, so hold off on those.
But I'll take the compliments.
You can direct those compliments to Connor, not me. I'm not that guy.
If you're really gonna be successful in this business, half the people are gonna like you, half the people aren't gonna like you. But it's about the connection ultimately. And we want to be an entertaining show for everybody to kind of take us through the Bills season, whether it's your commute to work, whether you just need to listen after a Bills loss or a Bills win. We'll be there to kind of go over everything.
Yeah, Connor, this is your platform, so I'm going to let you take it home. But before you do that, if you want to find me on social media, pretty simple, at WNY Pasquale. I promote live professional wrestling events here in Buffalo, Buffalo Championship Wrestling at BCW WNY on social media. Got a huge event on Saturday, September 27th at the Renaissance Club in North Tonawanda, 6:30 p.m. bell time. Going to be a huge evening of family-friendly, live and local and live, professional wrestling action. So go to bcw-wny.com to find out more about that.
And just kind of putting a bow on this first episode, we're glad to be back. Training camp's underway starting this week. We're very excited. Josh is coming off that MVP season. Can he duplicate what he did last year with different pieces on the offense? How will the new additions on defense be able to come together as we have this last year in Highmark Stadium that I think everyone's going to be on the edge of their seat for?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited, and I'm looking forward to being back here with you again next week.
Yeah, right back at you. So have a great rest of your week. Softball playoffs on Thursday. Don't forget. Fantastic Four Thursday. And we'll get it back next Tuesday.
All right. Thanks, Connor. I appreciate you having me.
Thanks.